Angelika, I think it's appropriate now for me to turn the meeting over to you and let you introduce today's speaker. Angelika?
Yes, it is a great honor for me to introduce DEANEA LEFLORE. She's a great lady and she's a most capable executive. We met back in 2010, 2009, 2010, when she worked for the mayor's office. Actually, she was chief of protocol, and she developed many mutual beneficial partnerships between organizations and institutions abroad and here. She was a vice president of the Greater Houston Convention and Visitors Bureau. And of course, what makes her particularly dear to our heart was that in 2009, she participated in the Rotary District 5890 group study exchange to German Rotary District 1880, which covers parts of Bavaria and Saxony. And so that's where her German comes from. And she speaks a little German. She only says she studied Spanish, but I think she has a smattering of many languages. She loves sharing cross-cultural insights and connecting people to life-changing opportunities. Something that you may not have expected from a girl that grew up in this, she says, in the small city of Tulsa, Oklahoma. And she never thought she would have the opportunity to make so many friends from all over the world. She went to the University of Tulsa, and she's currently while she's working for ION, she's gone back and she's working on her MBA. And I know she has much success in her future because these years that we've seen her, she's grown and grown, and she's charming, and she's just plain wonderful. Now, there was something else I was going to say about you, DEANEA. Oh yes, she served under 4 mayors, including the current mayor. She was an advisor on protocol and international relations, and she organized more than 2,000 visits by world leaders to Houston and ambassadors. And she was director of community engagement, partnerships, and education at Station Houston. I don't know if any of you heard of it. That's also an incubator for high tech startup companies. And now she went to Eon, and she will probably have a slide of the building, the former Sears on Wheeler Street. So DEANEA, let me make it short. We're so happy to have you, and thank you. And I'll turn the floor over to you.
Thank you very much, Angelika. I appreciate you so much. And I've been introduced a few times in my life, and that is the most personal introduction. And so I really appreciate you going beyond the usual facts and stats. So thank you so much for that, and weaving in our relationship over the years. I appreciate it. So the ION and the Innovation District. I'll talk a little bit about the ION. I hope that most or all of you have already heard of it. We'll be having our grand opening this fall. However, we have been doing some limited in-person engagements and tours in the building in advance of that opening to try to get the buzz going and generated. So the ION is a technology and innovation and entrepreneurship hub. And if you haven't already heard of it, you might be thinking, well, why on earth do we need such a thing? Well, it came about in part, you may recall in 2017, Amazon put out a nationwide, basically beauty contest to see who was going to host their HQ2 headquarters. A lot of different cities competed. Houston did not make the top list. We weren't even one of the top cities in Texas chosen to be the hub of Amazon's second headquarters. So for all of you, you're all very active in the community. You can imagine how that sat with community leaders, that Houston, the home of manned spaceflight and the largest medical center in the world and the largest port in foreign tonnage and the capital of the energy industry and more engineers per capita than probably any place on the planet, how is it that Amazon didn't think that we were innovative enough? It was a slap in the face, but the mayor, the Greater Houston Partnership, various other city leaders and consultants got together and took a look at why we didn't make the short list for a technology company to want to come here. Some of the things that came about at that deep look at ourselves, other cities had begun, because they weren't blessed with all the natural resources and talent that Houston has, they had already begun creating these technology and innovation incubators and hubs for the next, the fourth industrial revolution, as they call it. Well, Houston, for all of the reasons that I just named, we've been pretty prosperous over the years, and we were kind of resting on our laurels a little bit while cities like Chicago and Boston were coming up with growing their innovation economy. We are a very innovative city in Houston, no doubt, with the medical center, etc. But what's happening is it was determined that people are operating in their own silos. We're not having a lot of cross-pollination. We have many wealthy individuals in Houston, but they're not investing in tech startups. That's not something that our community is used to doing. That's more of a Silicon Valley thing, or a New York or a Boston thing. And so Houston was starting to fall behind. So all of these very smart people got together and decided that for Houston to compete, we need to be very intentional about creating our innovation economy, our startup ecosystem, getting investors here, and educating our people with the ability to invest, what the risk and rewards are for investing in high-tech, high-growth startups. We also need to train our talent to start going into these fields. We have tons of engineers, but do we have enough coders to be able to support a company like Amazon? Maybe not. So it's a mind shift to continue to grow and support the industries that we have, but not get left behind in the future industries as well. So the Sears building on Main Street, nod your head if you've ever seen it or driven by it. Yes, good. The Sears building on Main Street was put forth to Amazon in that bid proposal as maybe being the corporate headquarters. They didn't want it. And in typical Houston fashion, we decided we will build our own innovation hub. We will turn this old Sears building into an innovation hub, and we will do it right. And what I mean by right, I mean in Houston fashion. And so what that means is, in some cities, when they build their tech and innovation hubs, it doesn't reflect the demographics of the population. You go to Silicon Valley and you see who are the founders that are getting money. It's men, it's white men, it's not women, it's not people of color. In Houston, y'all are familiar with our demographics. We're a majority minority city. We cannot build a tech and innovation hub that does not include all Houstonians. We will not be successful. So it's the right thing to do, but also it's economically the thing that we want to do to be a powerhouse in this industry. So Rice University is stewarding this project to build this innovation district and the ION as an innovation hub. They owned the land under the Sears building, and Sears, to the surprise of me, maybe y'all knew, I did not know, Sears was leasing that space from Rice University, from the Rice Management Company, which also owns Rice Village as well. And the funds from those real estate investments pay for scholarships, the endowment at the university. And so Rice put up the funding to turn the ION into an innovation hub to catalyze, to spark, to create this type of density that Amazon and all of the consultants noted that we don't have. So that is the backstory of how we ended up having the ION. So over the next 10 years, it will become a mixed use neighborhood. It's on 16 acres of land. So the 16 acres in different little pockets around the ION, it's not all contiguous, will become, right now, will become a 16-acre walkable innovation district. The point is so that we'll have this density and we'll have collisions. And all of these are like the industry buzz terms where you get groups of people together to start solving problems and being creative. And they're from different, they're engineers, but maybe they're medicine. You get different people together, and that's going to spark innovation and spark the growth of our tech ecosystem. So this is what it'll look like eventually. So what are the goals of the district? We want to strengthen Houston's economic resilience and competitiveness, attract and retain innovative talent. Houston is currently suffering a sort of a brain drain. So right now, students who are interested in entrepreneurship, having these high-tech companies, as soon as they get their degrees, they're out of here. They go to California. We want to retain that. We want them to build their companies here and hire people here. And we need to make sure that they have the support and infrastructure so that they'll be able to stay in the city that they love and not have to flee to either of the coasts. They can stay right here in the Gulf Coast. We also want to foster an inclusive and welcoming neighborhood, and also inside the ION. My personal goal and the goal of the ION team is that when you participate in activities in our hub, that it looks like Houston, that it mirrors the population and demographics of Houston, and that everyone feels welcome and that there's something for them there, that no one feels excluded like you might feel in some of the other cities. So what is the ION? These are the renderings, but I can tell you the building is built now, and I just haven't dropped in the real pictures. They're strikingly similar to the renderings, though. They did a really good job. So this is basically what it looks like. The ION is almost 300,000 square feet. If you remember the Sears building, it had 4 floors, the basement, which we now call the lower level, and then 3 floors. We added 2 more floors on top of that, drilled a huge hole in the middle of the building from the top all the way down to create a light well. And so you can look from the top floors all the way to the bottom. They did that because if you shop, did anyone shop in the old Sears building? Nods. So it's kind of like a casino experience. There's only a few windows and you lose track of time. It's air conditioned. You just shop and spend your money. But for a tech hub or to have people officing in there, you need natural light. And so that's why we cut that hole in the middle and added tons of windows all the way around the building. So inside, we're going to have space for meetups. We'll have great restaurants. You may have seen some of the announcements. Follow me on LinkedIn if you are interested in keeping up with the happenings. We'll also have accelerator programs and workforce development programs all inside one building. So what are we trying to do? We're trying to create collisions, connections, and collaborations among these 4 stakeholder groups. So we'll have corporate innovators inside the building, such as Chevron Technology Ventures and Microsoft. We'll have startup companies and entrepreneurs. We'll also have academics and students, and then workforce development and training programs. This is unique. This is a game changer because even the other cities that have tech and innovation hubs, they're not trying to target all four of these, we call them bubbles, trying to target all four of these bubbles, and certainly not under one roof. And we really think that this will be, I mean, like I mentioned, a game changer for Houston and provide so many opportunities. So the ion will be the intersection of all four of these. I am not quite so talented as to make the animated bubbles, but if I were, the bubbles would all go together and then there'd be like that middle section, and that is the ion sweet spot, and that's what distinguishes us from other places in Houston and around the world. So what's our vision and mission? We want to accelerate innovation, and we want to connect communities, connect Houston's ethnic communities, but also Houston's engineers with Houston's doctors, with Houston's, et cetera, et cetera. So connecting communities to accelerate innovation is our mission. We also have some workforce development goals. This too, as I mentioned, is very unique for a tech and innovation hub. Normally they're focused on, the kids in the hoodies and tennis shoes that want to start the next Google, like that kind of image. But in Houston, we not only want to do that, but we want to take the person who is working a minimum wage job, give them a little bit more training, send them to some kind of coding boot camp for the people who have the aptitude, and then that could change their family's direction. They just need the opportunity and to be exposed to what these new careers are. And so that's part of what our workforce development goals are. And then we also want to strengthen community businesses. There's so many wonderful small businesses, and I believe the majority of Houstonians are employed by small businesses that aren't using technology to their advantage to grow their companies. And so we want to do that too. We're not trying to make everyone a tech founder. We want to use technology to improve upon the strengths that we already have as a community. So what kind of things would you come to the ION for? I talked about the training programs. We also will have a prototyping lab where you can learn how to do computer aided design, small machinery, advanced manufacturing. Again, in this Class A office space, we'll have a prototyping lab. And that's important because one, you can upskill, get a better paying job when you're able to work this type of equipment. So it's kind of like the blue collar aspect of it, but tremendously well paid jobs. Then this same prototyping lab can be used for entrepreneurs who are trying to get their minimal viable product, MVP, a sample of it together so they can go down and learn how to make something so that they can show to investors of what it is that they're trying to eventually sell to the market. And very importantly, we'll have an investor studio. It doesn't matter how great your idea is. If no one provides you funding or you can't get funding, it's never going to get off the ground. So we have an investor studio where we will invite investors from all over the country to come and hear about Houston startups. Also, local investors can rent out this studio, and I say rent loosely. It's really borrow because there's no fee for it, to come and listen to pitches from startup founders. We want to make it easy for people to access revenue, and we want to make it easy for people to see the startups that Houston has. Something else unique, and if anyone is from academia, that's not my background, but I am told that this was quite a feat. We got all 10 or so of Houston's institutions of higher learning to all agree to be a part of this and to collaborate and work with each other and send students to work on projects together. And I'm told this doesn't happen in Texas, and it doesn't happen. I see Kathy nodding, so she must know. I didn't realize, because I came from the mayor's office. So I'm used to like Houstonians collaborating and we work on big projects, and that's great. But people were telling me like, no, this does not happen. Like the competition is fierce among universities. So we're really excited, and we've already had events virtually where they're all working together quite nicely. And we want to invite more universities to participate as well. We think it's beneficial. It's a win-win for everyone. So if you are a startup or entrepreneur, we have an accelerator hub at the Ion. These like 4 accelerator programs are like these 4-week boot camps where you come and learn how to grow your business. And then at the end of it, we match you with people who will give you a pilot opportunity. A lot of our connections are with NASA, the city of Houston. So maybe you've designed some kind of smart reader, and before you can sell it, you have to test it out on someone. So we'll work with the city of Houston to let you test out your smart reader so that you can start collecting real world data. Another hub accelerator that we have is an aerospace innovation hub. And a lot of people, that was funded by the Minority Business Development Agency. A lot of people think, oh, well, I'm not in aerospace. That's for rocket scientists, literally. But NASA has tons of technology that's available for the public to be able to use in, they call it terrestrial applications. So on Earth applications, like, Tang was made somehow by NASA, like, and those great feeling mattresses were made by NASA. So it's like from NASA technology. So it's commercializing the research that our tax dollars have already paid for, and they really want to get it out there. So we have that hub where you can learn about that sort of thing and then utilize NASA technology in your business to create something of an application to be used here on Earth. So let me breathe. Where do I start? I've given you tons of information. So if you are interested in learning how to start a startup, or you have someone in your family who has good ideas, they're super creative, they just don't know what the journey looks like. Once a month, we teach people free of charge, and all of our programs are no cost. They're all free and open to the public. Once we start serving food, we might have a small fee to cover the catering, but it's going to be basically no charge to teach you how to start a startup. We're also teaching people every month how to pitch their business. We're teaching people how to become an angel investor. The government changed the rules where you don't have to have a net worth of $250,000 a year to be an accredited investor. They've lowered that, and you can pool with other groups of people to actually start investing in startups now. And so we have an investment series on how exactly to go about doing that. One, we want to grow the wealth of Houstonians, but we also want to have local investors that are participating in our growing startup ecosystem. If you're interested in seeing what our monthly programs are like, you can go to ionhouston.com, or you can aim your camera at this QR code that we have put on the slide, and that will take you immediately to the link just by aiming your camera right at it. Next, family tech night. This is probably going to be my favorite activity. We want to bring entire families into the Ion at least once a month, where they can start learning about these new careers of the future. We think it's important to have the entire family come, because if I'm a 10-year-old kid and my family, let's say, have always been in blue collar jobs and I love video games and I come home saying, I'm going to work on video games, my family's going to look at me like I am absolutely crazy. But if we can all come together and learn what the opportunities are, meet people who are in the field, and talk to them. What steps did you have to take? How much does the coding boot camp cost? Where are scholarships? Do I need a degree or can I just go to a training program? That can demystify this and really change. It has the ability to change people's lives and change perspectives. So we want to have like hands-on fun activities at this at least once a month. These are our corporate innovators. They are basically providing the funding. I mentioned that the things that we do are free and open to the public. These are our founding partners. They'll have space in the building, and they also help underwrite the programming and the training that I just mentioned. So finally, if you'd like to sign up for the ION newsletter and get other information, this is a different QR code. You can aim your camera at the screen and you'll get a link to all of the good information that I talked about. I know I squeezed in a lot. So that concludes my, my report. Thank you so much, everyone.
That was just wonderful. And now all of you, you understand why I so admire DEANEA. She is sovereign in every situation. She talks to ambassadors, she talks to Arab royalty, she talks to businessmen, she talks to us. She is a perfect person for Houston. Thank you, DEANEA.
Thank you. Dankeschön.
DEANEA, that was wonderful. And let me ask you this, and this suggestion was made by one of our members early on. Would it be possible once you get up and going, if we could schedule a meeting at your facility?
Yes, absolutely. And I've had Angelika come by. I think it was with the Sister City Association back when we were at our
Houston Leipzig Sister City Association. Yes.
And I'd be happy to work with her to schedule something similar for the Rotary. We'll probably do it around probably October, because that's when we'll be open for the public. Like I mentioned, we are doing limited engagements, but I'd love for you to come when everything is up and running. So absolutely, I would love to have you have your meeting and then give you a tour of the facilities.
Well, that would be great.
You just need to let us know how many people we can bring. Maybe we can bring Houston, Leipzig, and Rotary, or a couple of Rotary clubs or something. Let's keep that. Let's keep that on the gas stove, so to speak. And
sure, absolutely.
It'll be fascinating to see you're using the old building and opening it up, because those of us who are old customers of that building, it'll be fascinating to see how you've retrofitted it to your purposes.
Yeah, and I love taking people through who shop there. They have really great stories and fond memories of getting their back to school supplies and all of that. It's really quite an emotional experience for people that know Sears when they go through it.
Right.
We drove by there by chance the other day. We were coming from the medical center and we're going down Main Street to get on 59, and how fast it was all done. It's just incredible. It looks beautiful from the outside. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, as you were talking, I don't know, I just kept taking notes and stuff. I'm just so excited that people in this city have this vision, and that we are in action implementing it. And, in Rotary, we have another area of focus. One of the areas of focus is building peace. And we have several projects going on right now that, I just think we need to talk One is we are doing entrepreneurial empowerment. It's our brand newest project.
Oh, that's
Another
great.
is we literally are rolling out an app that was started from scratch for school children to use and high school students to manage, to understand and manage their emotions. And it's got so much more in it than that. So I'm always thinking about, we're always looking for money, right? So I'd love to. Oh, good. Thank you. So I will get in touch with you.
We have one other question from Ed Pettit, who asked, what is the status of direct negotiations with the Houston Coalition for Equitable Development without displacement for a community benefits agreement?
I don't know the exact, let me read what it says. I don't know what the status of the direct negotiations are with that particular group. I can say that Rice has publicly committed to a series of investments that are going to directly impact the community, and particularly the communities that live around the Ion. Those that package of proposed benefits is in a document that Rice has called the Community Benefits Agreement, and anyone can go online and see the very specific investments that Rice has proposed that they'll make into the community.
Yeah, thank you. Excellent presentation. I think it's going to be a wonderful asset to our community. Just curious, is the Greater Houston Partnership involved with this?
They're one of our, they're one of the city boosters. So by involved, I would say a partner that helps promote the Innovation Hub, just as they promote all of Houston's major assets. And so as a Chamber of Commerce, they're doing whatever they can to help use the Ion as a selling point for Houston, for companies to relocate here, to bring their employees here. So absolutely, and a number of our leadership team serves on committees that they have, and then we share information back and forth. So yes, the Greater Houston Partnership, the mayor's office, all of the usual suspects are all trying to work together to support and build this tech and innovation economy.
Well, I think that's good. I don't know what they're doing now, but they used to have big think tanks. And so their think tanks would incorporate a lot of the things that you mentioned in terms of new businesses. What should we do? How should we create new businesses? Now, whether they're still doing that, I don't know. But years ago, I knew that and was kind of a little bit involved with that. So.
But yeah, Bob Harvey and her name just went right out of Susan Davenport, Economic Development. We're all working closely together.
Thank you, DEANEA, for your presentation. It's unfortunate you're not aware of the negotiations with HSED, since we have Rotarians and Rotaractors on that committee. But for those of you who do want the update, I've shared a link to the Houston Chronicle article that covers it in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Do we have any other questions? Kathy?
I'm just curious. You mentioned earlier about bringing in training and boot camps and things like that, and coding in particular. Are you going to be bringing in companies like Flatiron School to be actually to consolidate there? Because that seems like it would be a great connection.
Yes, before the pandemic, General Assembly was doing it's similar to the school that you just mentioned, Flatiron, was doing in person, but then they had to stop from our old location. So once they get started up doing in person again, we'll have General Assembly and maybe other providers that will do their coding boot camps out of our space. Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Well, thank you so much. I mean, this has really been a treat and very informative, and I'm looking forward to our being able to go to a meeting at your facility in October, November, whenever we can work it out. So that should be a real treat. So.
Great. Thank you all for this opportunity to speak with you. I love talking about the ION, and thank you, Angelika, for having me here today.
Thank you.